All right, I think it's time to revisit this thing and see if maybe we can't get something accomplished with it. So let's give it another try right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Ross the Oliver Man. This is the old Super Cheap Super Duty. I bought it at an auction. And we've been messing with it, trying to eliminate possibilities of what could be wrong with it. And last time we replaced this gizmo, which is the fuel pump control module, as that is a common failure point on these trucks. However, it did not fix it. It still says we have no communication. So I spent however much money and bought this fancy factory wiring book that's got all of the stuff in it. And I needed this so that I could possibly determine what the path was from the battery to the fuel pump, and also what color each wire was and what it did. So that is where we are now. This long gray rectangle here is the fuel pump control module, and it tells us several things. It tells us, first of all, the two colors of the wires that go over to the fuel pump here. So now we know the white and brown, I assume it is, are the power, and then the return or the ground would be the yellow and GY, whatever color that would be. But anyway, we'll be able to see that. I know which two it is from when I had that plug off. I can tell what they were. Then we have the other wires that go to it, and the most important one that I'm thinking right now is going to be this ground wire from the thing. So it gets its ground from an actual ground wire in the harness, because there is nothing on this. I mean, it's all plastic. So it's not getting its ground from being bolted to the frame. It's getting its ground through the harness. So I want to find out where this goes and then possibly clean it. I know there is a ground wire, or what appears to be one, bolted to the frame right near this, which other people said in some of the videos, you know, that was their problem and that was what I should check. However, most of those videos were all filmed within a few days, so by the time you saw the first one, you know, I already had the other ones filmed, so there wasn't a lot I could do about it. But it actually, that ground wire looks like goes to the frame, and then it also goes to a shield around the power wires to the fuel pump, which I guess is supposed to be like a emergency something or other, maybe, so it doesn't, I don't know. I don't understand all that, but I do know we're going to find that ground wire and where it goes to the frame and clean it. And we may also find ground wires under the hood if we can, like maybe from the main computer where it gets its ground and different stuff like that. So that's my next thing to check in this order of operations, is we're going to start checking grounds. If we can't get anywhere with that, I am going to try to see if I can jump the fuel pump and hook it up direct and see if I can get it to run on its own, and then we'll figure out what to do after that, you know. But I have to believe, since it says lack of communication, that something is just not getting its ground, and it's, you know, it's confused. It doesn't understand what's happening. So that's what we're going to check. Oh, now our absolute favorite activity is to lay on the ground in the wintertime. That does us so well as far as our health is concerned. But I was thinking, yes, right there is a wire bolted to the frame, and I would have to believe that that is a ground wire, and I also have to believe that that's going to be one of the first things I take out. Now, any other time, this would have been a simple process. However, this is not got a nut on the back side. It's just bolted right into the frame in a threaded hole. And because of the transfer case here, I don't think I'm going to be able to get the mini impact in there, which is what I brought. I didn't bring a ratchet, so I might be going to get tools again. It seems like I always have to go get tools because I never get it right the first time. So here's where we're working. You can't see, obviously, because that's just how I roll. I always put you in a spot where you can't see anything. All right, now, if I lived a good, clean life, there would be just enough room to get this in there, but there's not. There's just not. So, what that means is, we're gonna have to go get a ratchet and take this out one small turn at a time. I mean, yeah. I like how nothing ever just works, you know? But it does look kind of crusty there, so this could be a very good thing that we're doing. And then everything else is wrapped up so securely in the harness that I guess I will never see what to do there. But this is going to be my first go around, is we're going to try this, as this is where it terminates to the frame, and that would be the thing. So let me go get a ratchet and we'll be right back. All right, let's see if we can't get this somehow extricated. And it's gonna be way long, you know? Why would it be just a simple short bolt? That would make too much sense. And of course, we're using the ratchet that's too long, you know? But hey. Okay. Does look kind of rusty, so that's good. I mean, that would explain some things. So what we're gonna do is clean this all up real good and see about, you know, getting it going. And then I'd like to get to the frame and clean it. However, that's going to prove difficult. Oh, cool. My light's about dead, probably, and it's going to keep shutting off. So what I notice about this, the only way it's getting its ground is from the bolt. The frame itself is still got the black coating on, so it is possible that what we're doing here might have a chance of being the thing, because this is pretty rusty on the threads and stuff. So we're gonna clean this up. I'd love to get in there and really just kind of hack away at that coating a little bit, but I don't know. I really feel like I'd almost like to scuff that up and do something there, just to make it get a better ground. That ain't nothing. It almost looks like somebody's already been in here on this cable. It's really inconvenient that my light keeps shutting off. But I'm just wondering if this isn't worth taking this apart, checking it farther. Maybe we'll put it together, see if it changes anything, And then if it doesn't, we'll investigate it again. I'm also thinking about maybe taking jumper cables and hooking it to this with the thought that maybe that'll get us a good ground. I don't know. Let's see what happens. Oh, baloney. Not a very good view, but you just listen to the sound of my beautiful voice, and that'll bring you all of the comfort and joy that you've been needing today. Now, I think I'm going to go ahead and put the battery cable back on, and we're going to see if this fixed it, because if we don't keep testing it in between, we're not going to know which thing we did was the thing that fixed it. And I would like to know that in case something ever happens again. I would know, hey, if it says this, it's probably this. So I know people are not liking my methods, and they've got a ton of suggestions of what I should be doing, but I'm doing this more or less to learn some stuff or help other people too if they have this problem. See, we're going through a process of elimination. See, there's any number of grounds on this thing. There's 3 right there. You know, stuff like that could be our issue too. There's supposed to be grounds like around this fuse box. That could be somewhere that we need to check. But there's so much. I mean, it'd be probably easier to just run some new ones. But let's give her a try. Nah. All right, nothing has changed. Enough of that. So, what do we want to do? Do we want to get a test light and see whether or not that thing really is going to ground? Like, is the plug on the fuel pump module really getting a ground, is what I'm saying. That would be my next process here to do. Another thing we could do is test light in the fuse box and see if the fuel pump relay is really getting the correct stuff in the correct position, because there's some areas here where you know, like there's 4 pins and one is supposed to be ground. Well, we can just look at the box here and I'll show you the piece of paper. So if you go back to this fuel pump relay, one of them is hot at all times. That should be easy to find. One of them, I assume, comes on when you turn the key on. One of them goes to the body control module, and the other one goes to is a ground. So, you know, we could check and make sure that we got ground there. We could check and make sure that, you know, some of these other things are really hot at all times. The big fuse box there that we're in is in fact the battery junction box, is what they call that. The body control module, though, body control module is the one that's up against the kick panel in the cab, maybe. But at any rate, we need to do some. We may also take this this ground off this fuse box and clean it, because it looks to me like there's some crustiness going on there. And that would be the ground, I believe, that's hooked right there. But what do I know, you know? I do see some crustiness, so I may pull that loose and go ahead and clean it up just for fun, just to help us out. And then we'll just have to keep going down process of elimination. I mean, something has got to be not making connection, and I would think that it would be from up here to that fuel pump control module, because it's lost communication between here and down there. So I would not think that the problem is from there to the tank. I would think that the problem is from here, main computer, or up in this fuse junction box down to the fuel pump module. So that's kind of where I'm at on that train of thought. All right, right or wrong, this is going to happen. So I'm going to take this loose. Isn't that sweet? I lost my socket way down in there somewhere, and I bet it didn't hit the ground, because why would it, you know? That'd have been too easy. All right, well, it didn't quite hit the ground. Come on. Well, that's just what I didn't want to do. Slingshot the stuff. But that's fine. Let's just let everything just sit still. This is awful. Ah. Okay, well, we'll clean that up. I don't believe that this is causing the trouble, but it's worth a go. All right. All right. I guess another possibility could be corrosion in some of these other wire bundles, but I've been kind of unplugging and replugging just to eliminate that issue. I'm messing around with stuff. I can't see anything. My light's pretty well dead. As soon as I get in there a hold of it, I guarantee you the light will go out, because that's how life works. There's an important ground, I bet, that comes from the fuse box. So we might try to clean that one up. Of course, now again, I don't have the right don't have the right stuff. So it's smaller than a 10 millimeter. So I guess I'll go get that. I want to clean that ground wire. And then we may see if this has changed anything. We've cleaned several more ground wires. And I took that connector loose under here and plugged it back in. So we'll give that a try and see if that doesn't do something for us. All right. I think we're just gonna clean every ground we can see right now. And that way we don't have to worry about that. Although we may not trust it, you know. Just because it's clean doesn't mean it's actually working. If the truck's not getting ground from some other place. That certainly doesn't look bad. Of course, now this is going to be hanging in our face the whole time. One thing that I'm very puzzled on a little bit, I guess not really though, if it went down the assembly line, is that it's only getting its ground through the threads of these bolts. I mean, it's not like it's getting what am I trying to say here, friends? There's paint on everything, is what I'm saying. And like this one is just a self-tapper where you can tell they must have just jammed her in and hammered her home, I guess. But it may come to the point where we got to get the grinder and grind some paint off and get a much better scenario here. Because I don't know about this. Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. Uh-huh. What we're doing can't hurt. Even if it's not the solution, it can't hurt. I think I'm going to go ahead and do those 3 grounds on the firewall back there. Take this battery out of the way. And we'll see if we can't get those loose and cleaned. Because who knows, you know? That might be something that's hurting us. I'm also gonna see if I can't switch to the old impact there. Take 1, 2. Oh, of course. I knew there would be one. There would be one that wouldn't work that way. Just to make it more difficult for the rest of us. And there is the possibility that this computer is junk. I mean, that is an ever-present thing that could be an issue. All right. Let's clean these up. Again, I'm not saying that's going to fix it, but I don't even remember which one was where. Not that it matters, they're all ground. Get this out where we can work on it. Okay. I'm trying to not have to switch the socket more than once, if that makes sense. When you say, why do you got that one loose still? Well, because you can't use the impact on that one. You got to use the socket, or the ratchet. All right. No, get in there. I love electronics. I love electronics. That's bent now, but that was before. I thought maybe I'd at least set this in here so I didn't lose it, but I don't know. It doesn't look like that's going to work out for me very good either, does it? Man, something's power draining it all the time. I don't know if that's the computer that makes it do that, but let's see if anything's changed. I don't think so. Nope. The oil pressure comes right up. I think it's a good motor. Okay, well, I am now inclined to just hotwire the pump and see if it will run. So we're going to have to pull the connector off this fuel pump deal. That would be the easiest. And then we could see, we could even pull it off and take that test light, or maybe that, what do you want to say? That voltage light that the viewer sent, and see if we're getting power in the places we should be getting power on this, you know. The V-Power fuel should be hot. That would be where it's getting its power from the powertrain control module. These two, I don't really know if that is really, that probably isn't power. That's probably more like communications. And then I bet this is the wire that the restraint control module probably has the thing that tells it to shut off whenever there's an accident. And then these two are the ones I'm mainly concerned with, which is that would be how we send power to the fuel pump. Fuel pump power is yellow, and GY, I don't know what color that would be probably, and white and brown is the return. And I know where those are in the harness. Wonder if oh, well, I wish I hadn't done that. We'll find it back. I think it's that. Yeah, I've had it open long enough, it went back to it. I was hoping maybe there was a section that gave all the wiring colors. What page is this, in case you forget? 26-9. Yeah, here we go. GY is gray. Okay. Gray. YE's yellow. So the fuel pump power wire is yellow with a gray stripe. YE-GY, yellow with gray stripe. The return is a white with a brown stripe. And then yellow and violet is the restraint control module wire. Yellow. Orange is one of the ones that goes to powertrain control, and so on and so forth. The VT violet with a green stripe is the main power wire that comes from the powertrain control module. So if we get our test light, that one should be getting power, and I think that one's actually easy to get to in the harness. Violet and green. If that's not getting power to the harness, then we know that the trouble has to be from underneath the truck to up here, which is what I think the trouble is anyway. But so we may get the test light now, and we'll give that a test and see if we can't verify that we have power down here. That would have to be when the key is on, because the relay makes contact there. We could verify that in there too, but see, I'm not sure about this either. This body control module, BCM 1334, so we could go to that diagram and see, but I'm not understanding what the fuel pump FET is. If this is a fuse, if that's what that's supposed to be, or if there's indeed another fuel pump on it or something. 1334 is the body control module. That's what I like about this book. If you have a question, you can go back to, oh, I even have that page marked. 1334. There's micro. Fuel pump FET, body control module, and that goes to the fuel pump relay. But the body control module, that is where you get your F10 fuse, F16, F17 fuse, headlights, the run accessory, power distribution / body control module. That's got to be in that box too. So that is just I guess talking about that fuse, that F10 fuse or whatever it is, that sends the power to the fuel pump relay, which then sends the power to your powertrain control module and this pump, and then it goes so on and so forth down the way. So I guess I'll get the test light and we'll see if that doesn't have power to it. Absolutely, because if it doesn't, then our trouble's back this direction. You know, we can still jump the fuel pump if we have to here. I should be able to jump it from this V power to this one, maybe, and it'll run. And then again, I might have to get a separate unit and just test it that way, but I'm gonna go get the test light. All right, if we do this right, we can also verify that our ground that we just cleaned is working, because we will hook it to that. And if nothing happens here at all, then we've got a problem somewhere. That may be too many steps, but this is the top one. This should be getting some type of, I'm getting nothing. That's the violet one. Let's see if I can pull it off of the, oh brother, it's gonna be difficult. Why did I doubt that? It may be the kind of thing where I even have to unbolt this again from the deal. Because I ain't getting it. But this could be meaning that my ground is no good either. It could be that it's not this thing's problem. Maybe I should try different spots. I wish I remembered how to unplug that. I can't remember how to do that. Okay, so what I've done is I took that fuel pump control module out again, and I unplugged the connector, and I am getting no juice down there at any time. And that's bad, because we ain't gonna get no fuel pumping if there's no power down there. I'm going to double check this tester just to make sure that it's working and it's not foolishness on my part. But see, right here it shows I have 11.7 volts. That probably won't show up on camera, it's all wobbly, but in real life it says 11.7. Down there I had nothing. So what do I want to do here? Well, part of me wants to say that my trouble is back then farther here. Fuel pump relay. So if I look this up and pull this back out, I should be able to find one of these terminals that is hot all the time. All right, so the sun's setting on us, but I'm as close as I think I've ever been, and I think I'll get it to run. So the trouble we have, I unplugged the fuel pump control module, and I'm not getting any power to this wire that is the violet and green, the purple wire, let's call it. It comes from the battery junction box under the hood, and it goes to the powertrain control module as well as the fuel pump control module. So what gives? No power here. Back up C3239, and we go back here. Let's leave our bookmark in there. That takes us to, anyway, long story short, if that doesn't make sense, it takes us to this connector. This connector is up under the hood right next to the power, what do you want to call it, that thing I just told you about. 14 gasoline is the violet green wire, the purple wire that we have. So when I took my little test jobby down here, I've already started to try to take it apart, and I haven't gotten very good results. But I jammed my test probe into the back side of this connector, and I have 11.7 volts. I do not have any coming out the other side of the connector. So my trouble has to be in this connector, that it's just not making connection and sending the power down to that thing under the truck. However, I cannot seem to get this pulled apart because I don't have a lot of room here where I'm at. I don't know if I'm going to have to try to pull this bracket loose maybe. I guess that wouldn't be that hard to take this whole shebang up out of my way a little bit, because I sure can't get my hands in there to get a good enough grip to pull her apart. And I'm saying that's my problem, because I'm not getting any power where I need to go, and I have it on the one side that comes from the front of the truck, so it's got to be there. But as I look at this, I guess what I'm going to do is try to take these 2 bolts loose. Maybe that will let this whole bracket assembly come out of here. I'm sure there's more hidden bolts that I don't see, and it's going to be a lot more difficult than that, but it's worth a try. Because if I could get this out of the way and get this connector cleaned up, in theory the old truck ought to fire right up. And if this was causing trouble intermittently, this could have also been why it seemed like the transmission was going out, because it wasn't making connection all the time. And this is also proof that my wiring diagram was well worth it, because I wouldn't have known to look there. And that wiring diagram tells you where everything's at, so you don't ever have to wonder if you're in the neighborhood you're supposed to be or not. So anyway, stuff actually works out the way you wanted it to, maybe. Will this let me go here and pull this up out of the way? Maybe not perfect, but it did gain me some more room. There's no way I can get both hands up under there. And, I mean, the hood shock thing is right in the way. I wish this box was out of here. Wonder if there's a bolt under the air filter. Does it just push in? I bet it does. Yeah, okay. What is that? Oh, it's like a air intake into the fire or the fender. Yeah, well, we're just gonna have to make do, buddy boy. But I got to get in here. There. There. Sweet. What's it look like? Well, it don't look like it's bad shape. Oh, there's my trouble though. I see it. I see it. That wire's bad. Yahtzee. There we go. That's the trouble on the whole truck right there. Check it out. Check out the cancerous green broken wire corroded off. And that is our wire that makes her run. So, the next question is, how are we going to go about fixing this? Can we just splice in and go? We really don't have enough room here to shorten it much more. And I'm not sure how I'm going to get into that connector. It feels solid, so maybe I can cut it off up here and splice in a piece of wire. It would be nifty if I could just splice it to itself, but I'm not sure that that's going to happen. But that's awesome. We found the problem. How many of these other wires are no good, you know? They all look good, it's just that one wire. Okay, well, what to do here? Well, I gotta find me some connectors. I almost feel like this needs to be a project where I wait and get some of the heat shrink connectors, although that guy sent me some heat shrink, so maybe I can just make it work. But I don't have a lot of room in here to do anything. And I need this space here. I just don't think I can connector it together and trust it. Maybe I'll get my wire pliers and cut me off an end of it and see what I want to do. Boy, it's just terrible that you can't even get it pulled up here enough to do anything. I wish I could get it up here close enough that I could yeah. Oh, what to do. So tempting to just try to, I don't know. Let me go get the wire pliers and we'll cut on it a little bit and see what we think we can do. But it is harnessed. I wonder if it's just zip tied. It looks like if I cut that one zip tie, I might be able to get me some more length of it up here. Because that's causing my... I might try to cut that zip tie and see if that'll gain me anything. Oh, good. I'm excited now. This means I'm going to get it to run. Did that gain me anything at all? Not a whole heck of a lot. I'll be right back. Let me go get some supplies. All right, this is going to be quite the endeavor, I can tell you now, just to physically get in here and do this. It seems like this should, if this thing would lift out of there better. But whatever, we'll make it work. I'm going to splice in and into wire, and it's going to be longer than necessary, but that's what I'm going to have to do. And I don't think I can have you here because I don't think there's enough light, but I'll bring you back as soon as I get that done. I got that heat shrink from the viewer, so I'll get it put on there and heat shrink the piece in, and then we'll be ready to try her out. All right, friends, this is the moment of truth. We got our wire spliced in. I got my fuel pump control module hooked back up. Let's see if this sucker will run now, if we can hear the fuel pump come on. I don't hear anything, but there she is, boys. Running truck. How about that? One wire broken is all she takes. And she's a runner. Now, I don't have that cover fixed yet on the differential. However, I can't wait. I want to see if it'll go into gear. Shift to park. It moves. Yeah, it needs that. It needs that cover changed. But she drives too, boys. It almost sounds like a brake is kind of dragging a little bit, so that might go to be with my theory. But man, she runs. Good oil pressure. I'm stoked. So here's what's going to take place, I guess. In the next video, we will fix that differential cover, and then we're going to take her for a drive. And we're going to see if the transmission's got it. You know, I suspect that this was the whole problem, because what was happening was the way that wire's destroyed, it was making connection part of the time and then not part of the time, and so it just kept cutting in and out, and it kept screwing up that computer, and it had no idea what was happening. And so I think that that very easily could have been the entire issue this whole time. But what a sweet thing. I mean, I knew that it had to be something simple, and I was almost sure it was in the wiring. I just started with what I thought was the most common thing, an easy thing, and then we went through one piece at a time until we found it. And you know, that's kind of the way you got to do with all this electronic stuff. There's just too much stuff, and it all has to be working in order to, you know, make her go. Let's try it again. Beautiful. Look at that, sweetheart. Runs great. All right, so I believe that this is where we'll call this one. Like I said, in the next one, we're going to fix that rear end cover, and we're going to take it for a drive and see if that doesn't in fact get us a running and driving truck. I think it will. I think that that one little burnt wire was all that it took. So that's something else, but that's the way it is. So I guess if you like the videos, give them a thumbs up and leave a comment. All that stuff doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.